This lesson is on squares and square roots. We're going to start with the vocabulary. What is a square number? A square number is a number that can be expressed as the square of a factor. So square meaning a number times itself. So then what does that look like? We know that if we have a square, which is something here, that means all four sides are the same. So if this side is 5, I know this side is 5. So the space that all of it takes up is 25. The square number is 25. All right, and let's keep going down. Let's look what a square number looks like with variables. Okay, if we have x, and remember it's a square, so all the sides are the same. If I know that unknown is x, well, this unknown is also x. That means the square number is x squared. Square number is x squared. Okay. And continue. Showing a square with a binomial. That means there's two terms here. If I have x plus 3, then this side is x plus 3. The square would be x plus 3 squared. So the square number is x plus 3 squared. Okay? So then along with the square number goes the square root. The square root is one of the two equal factors of a number. Okay, so if I'm showing that on an actual square itself, if 25 is my square number, then the square root is going to be one of those sides, which is, we know to be 5. So the square root of 25 is 5. Same with x. If I have x squared, I know that one of those factors, because those are both going to be the factors on the sides here, and they're going to be equal, it's times itself, is x. So the square root of x squared is x. And then with the binomial, if I have x plus 3 squared, well, the squared tells me that there's two of these things. I know that each of those factors is x plus 3. So the square root of x plus 3 squared is x plus 3. Okay? Now down the side, this right side here, we're looking at just the perfect squares that we're seeing there at the top. Those are the most commonly used squares and square roots. 3 squared is 9, 4 squared is 16, 25, 36, 49, 64. These are numbers that should be memorized if you haven't already. And then on this right side here, we're looking at that square root. The square root of 9 is 3. The square root of 16 is 4. Square root of 25 is 5. 36 is 6. 49 is 7. 64 is 8. 81 and 100 is 10. Now what we're really going to focus on is down here at our rational numbers. Remember, a rational number is a number that can be written as a fraction. So if I have 1/2 squared, that's essentially saying 1 squared over 2 squared. So 1 squared is 1, 2 squared is 4. So the square root of 1 is 1, and the square root of 4 is 2. So that 1/2 is the opposite. Okay, so look here. If I have the square root of 4/9, I can rewrite it as a square root of 4 over the square root of 9. The square root of 4 is 2. The square root of 9 is 3, which is where I get that squared number. Okay, I could also rewrite this as 3 squared over 4 squared. 3 squared is 9. 4 squared is 16. So if I was taking the square root of 9 over 16, the square root of 9 is 3. The square root of 16 is 4. And you can keep going. 4 squared is 16 over 5 squared, which is 25. So the square root of 16 over 25 is 4/5. Just a basic review there. Now what you're going to do is glue a top strip, this top strip here, and we're going to work underneath it. Okay. All right. So let's look at let's put that in words a little bit, okay? So if I gave you a question that says, what is the simplified form of each expression? And I said square root of 81. Okay. Well, we know that the square root of 81 is 9, and that this 9 squared is 81. Okay. So 9 is the square root of 81. It's important to know the difference between a square and a square root. And 2, if I have the square root of 9 over 16, we know that to be the square root of 9 over the square root of 16, which is 3/4, and that then 3/4 squared is 9 over 16. So 3/4 is the square root of 9 over 16. Okay. And then the got it questions that we're going to practice. Let's say square root of 64, 25, 1 over 36, 81 over 121. Oh, and you can't read all that, sorry. Okay. Pause the video and complete those. The square root of 1 is 1. The square root of 36 is 6. Square root of 81 is 9. Over the square root of 121 is 11. Make sure you glue that strip at the top. That is the lesson on squares and square roots.